Okay, so there's a neat story here. Um, and I think it's really relative. It's relative to my life. It's also relative to a sermon I heard yesterday from Strong Tower Church in Lafayette, talking about talking about exactly what this is. The parents of a 25-year-old man came to see me with a common request. This is from Boundaries. Henry Cloud and John Townsend. With a common request. They wanted me to fix their son, Bill. When I asked their son, Bill, when I asked where Bill was, they answered, "Oh, he didn't want to come." "Why?" I asked. "Well, he doesn't think he has a problem," they replied. "Maybe he's right," I said, to their surprise. "Tell me about it." They recited a history of problems that had begun at a very young age. Bill had never been quite up to snuff in their eyes. In recent years, he had exhibited problems with drugs and inability to stay in school and find a career. It was apparent that they loved their son very much and were heartbroken over the way he was living. They had tried everything. They knew to get him to change and live a responsible life. Everything they knew. But all had failed. He was still using drugs, avoiding responsibility, and keeping questionable company. They told me that they had always given him everything he needed. He had plenty of money at school, so he wouldn't have to work, and he would have plenty of time for study and a social life. When he flunked out of one school or stopped going to classes, they were more than happy to do everything they could to get him into another school, where it might be better for him. After they had talked for a while, I responded, "I think your son is right. He doesn't have a problem." You could have mistaken their expression for a snapshot. They stared at me in disbelief for a full minute. Finally, the father said, "Did I hear you right? You don't think he has a problem?" "That's correct," I said. "He doesn't have a problem. You do. He can do pretty much whatever he wants, no problem. You pay. You fret, you worry, you plan, you exert energy to keep him going. He doesn't have a problem because you have taken it from him. Those things should be his problem, but as it now stands, they are yours. Would you like for me to help you help him to have some problems?" They looked at me like I was crazy, but some lights were beginning to go on in their heads. "What do you mean, help him to have some problems?" his mother asked. Okay, so at Strong Tower Church yesterday morning, the part of what was being preached was about kind of protecting the youth too much, so that they don't that should be his problem. He should learn from that problem. And I have this question about it, because my life experience has been that, like, my mother did exactly that. She let it be my problem. All the things that that I thought that I needed to understand more about, that I wanted to, I was able to live authentically, because she let all my stuff be my own problem, and she didn't handle it for me. You know, to some extent, she handled a few things, like a little foundation for me to have some way in that, getting me disability and what all. But my question is, at what intrepid point do the parents re-intervene, or is like love lost forever? Because the child doesn't know what he's getting himself into yet. And that is something that maybe he has to understand, so you can let it be his problem. But at some point, he's going to understand that he was a fool, and he's still stemming, he's coming from this point of dependency on his parents. Like, his whole circumstance of being alive is, like, maybe the parents think, well, I didn't have anything, and so, like, I made it, you know, I didn't have anything, I came from, like, poverty, but I still made it, so, you know, like, he can do it too. But it's actually different, because the parent did come from poverty, they actually did have something in their community and the people that helped them along the way. Because he's not coming from that circumstance, he's entering this circumstance at a later point, it's actually different. It's not the same thing. And so at what point does the family reconnect and determine that there's a better way for all, and what he did come to understand, because he was missing something, and that's why there was a problem to begin with, is because something was missing from his life, and so he was trying to fill that by his own journey to understanding. And so there's going to be something about what he learns through his authentic journey is very important, and it's important for the parent to understand too what was missing. And then technically the parent still holds the keys, or this child, or love is lost, and this child is dependent on the community, and he needs to find something else. And if something better doesn't already exist, then it's up to his community to build that. And it might just be family of transients, in which case what is leadership, and how do you manage those people, and who really understands. I've been listening to Tom talk about like Jesus's story, and the third preaching since Jesus first arrived, and the people, somebody like was like, Jesus is gonna come, and then he arrives, and then everybody responds, and he feeds the people, and then there's like Jesus is at a temple, and he's upset because they're using the temple for wrong, and Jesus knows that, like, Jesus knows something about how things have to be, and he needs to be respected for what that is. Like Jesus needs to be in charge. It can't be somebody else who's defining the responsibility. That is up to Jesus. Jesus is the leader there. Jesus needs to define that. So